Yeah, anyone giving you a job guarantee is definitely a scam.
The percentage of women pilots in India has drastically improved, and it is one of the highest in the entire world.
3 exams and
Yeah,
you can fly almost every day in a year and you can finish off your flying fast.
if you don't convert your license in that 6 months, your hours are going to start lapsing.
We are all, I think, from middle class families.
On a conventional way, like a student can spend close to 80 lakhs. That includes his type rating and airline training. But the same as a cadet pilot needs to do, it's gonna close to more than a crore to 1.5. With the way Indian aviation market is growing, the demand is like equally present for both.
Yeah.
Once you are enrolled in a cadet, you are very restricted to that
Yeah.
particular airline, whatever they want you to do.
Right now, flight instructor is something which is very good in India because there are a lot of flying schools that are being coming out that needs instructors.
Parents need to understand that after you go through the waiting period, once you get the job, it's very quick because pilots are one of the highest paying jobs in India right now.
Everyone sees pilots in uniform, but very few hear what it actually takes to get there. Today is not a motivational talk, it is a real conversation. We have CPL holders from the USA and New Zealand, frozen ATPL holder, a current Indigo pilot, and an instructor who have trained hundreds of students at WindChasers. If you are confused, scared, overpromised to, or wondering, is this even worth it? The episode is for you. I'm Sumaya Ali, founder of WindChasers. Welcome to yet another episode of WindChasers podcast. Today we have with us Hemanth, aeronautical engineer and CPL holder from the USA, frozen ATPL qualified, now a ground instructor at WindChasers. Sandeep Mandela, computer science engineer turned pilot, trained abroad, waited his turn, now flying Indigo. Rida Ali, commercial pilot from New Zealand, currently converting her license. Welcome to WindChasers podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sumaya, for having us here today.
It's a pleasure having you all. As you all know, students are confused whether they want to do their flying abroad or in India. Why did you all choose to fly abroad?
So usually students prefer to fly abroad. The reason is the flying in India is more or restrictive. We'll be required to take clearance with military everywhere because like India is being surrounded by military airspaces throughout. And along with that, the duration of flying with the monsoon that is being present, weather being considered, and the airspace as well as the approaches that will be required to do during our training, it's going to be a well-versed course in foreign is what in my perspective.
I think that's what, when I did my research, when I started this journey, that is what I've been seeing that, flying abroad or flying in other countries like the US, the flying is much faster and the training pattern or the curriculum is more structured in schools there. So that's the reason I took a decision of doing the flying it there.
So you get more exposure in terms of flying because in abroad we go to different cities or different places for cross countries, and so just sticking to one place. So, and we're flying over different terrains every time. Sometimes it's over the ocean, sometimes it's over mountains or hills, or there's always different landscapes that you're flying over.
Okay. So what do you mean by restricted, Hemanth?
As in like you get to learn a lot as an individual when you're stepping into such a huge career where you will be required to learn how to fly an aircraft. That is not only the responsibility, at the same time once you join the airline in future you'll be commanding the aircraft where you have passengers carrying behind you. So you just need to be right at the point to take the right decision which needs to be developed during your training phase, which to be honest it's going to be a bit not that structured in India. I've experienced better flying in US, so that is my perspective.
What do you feel? Was it cheaper and faster abroad?
It was definitely faster.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it to be cheaper because more or less it comes out to be the same expense, but definitely faster. But I would, from now when I see the bigger picture, I feel flying in India is also not as bad because in the end you don't have the hassle of converting your license.
Especially when India is booming with the aviation industry. So definitely India also has good flying schools.
Yes, and in the recent few years, there are very good flight schools that have come up in India. And one major thing, as I told, we are directly getting a DGCA CPL.
Let's have a mythbuster round. If you do CPL abroad, airline job is guaranteed?
that I don't think is definitely
Yeah,
not
that's not
true.
true.
Maybe probably flight schools may advertise that you may get a job, you may get an airline job and all that, but I think it's all boils down to how skilled you are or what's the amount of knowledge you have.
Yeah, anyone giving you a job guarantee is scam.
FA is always better than DGCA.
I would
It
say
does-
in some aspects, few aspects, yeah, but overall, no, I wouldn't say that to be true.
Maybe in the initial phase of the career, it doesn't matter. Once you have an experience of like close to 2000 or 3000 hours, if you want to jump to any foreign country, then your FA license might get.
So you mean to say that if it is New Zealand or Australia, those licenses do not hold?
They do hold credibility in the same manner, but FA license and the EASA license is being recognized in the aviation standard as a better license. So that is where it is. But apart from that, the recognition when it considers, every country will have their same aspect.
Girls have fewer opportunities in aviation.
No, that's definitely not true, at least not in today's time, where opportunities are equal for both female and males.
Why do you think, Rida, that even now girls are not much taking this as a career path?
No, I would say that's false because in today's time there are opportunities for females as much as there are for males. For example, Indigo coming up with the female vacancies, that just creates more opportunities for females. So yeah, and also considering that India holds a pretty decent number, actually the biggest percentage in the world, as that's pretty great for India to hold that for females.
take in this?
I think this question or that myth would hold true a few decades ago when women were not at all encouraged to take any unconventional roles or careers basically. But today, considering today's scenario, again, as Rida told, I think Indian aviation industry has been promoting women. In the last 5 to 10 years, I think the percentage of women pilots in India has drastically improved and it is one of the highest in the entire world. That's something India should be proud about.
Even though yes, we're not at 50-50 yet,
Yeah.
but I believe we will be there.
Exactly.
But there's
So-
an improvement. So
Yeah.
And also the vacancies that comes up, they are neutral for it, so both can apply as. But
Yes. So there is lot of scope going ahead for women. You must have pilot background or pilot parents. Is that true?
Again, we three are the typical example for it. I think none of us have a pilot background or anyone in our family. We are the first.
So how did you do your research while taking up this career?
everyone's best friend, Google.
Okay, so Google was the only place that you could reach out.
Yeah.
Google and stalking people on Instagram and finding their contacts so we can talk to current pilots and get an opinion from them.
I think Hemanth, you have a certain experience in this.
so there was an instance in which I met a pilot when I got a chance to visit airport. Somehow I got his number. I was happy. Okay, I got a pilot's number. So then I messaged him. He was like, "I'm pretty much happy to help you, but I charge a session for consultancy." And he asked me like 50,000.
Wow.
He was like, "I'm gonna help you through everything with the process as such." I was like, "Okay." Then I took a step back because it was huge back then and even now. So then I had to work my all the way by gathering information from bits and pieces. So that it was a bit difficult hard way to get all the information.
If you fail exams once, your career is over.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. I mean, in aviation, the standards are set so high that pass marks are really high. Average, not just India, anywhere in the world, at least 70% is the minimum pass mark. So there are a lot of instances when students are not able to clear the exams in the first or even the second attempt in that matter. So there's nothing like that because in the end, as long as you're clearing it finally and getting it an airline, I don't think that should matter at all.
What do you feel that DGCA exams to be given before or after?
Right, definitely.
That's a major confusion between the students.
Yeah.
Maybe Rida can answer this.
Yeah, we should definitely give it before. Considering that I wasted about 5-6 months of my time after coming back from New Zealand giving my exams, which I could have spent just sorting out my documents, doing my conversion flying. Just wasted time and money. So it's always better to do it before you go flying, so that you don't have to worry about it after you're back.
I think a lot of students do this mistake, and by the time they realize, it's too late.
What do you mean by wasting money? Like, do you have to pay something extra, or any hours gets expired?
Once you come back from the foreign country from your last flight, so you have 6 months to convert your license. So, okay, I won't get too technical, but you've got 6 months to convert your license. If you don't convert your license in that 6 months, your hours are going to start lapsing, which means you're going to have to do those hours again in India, which will increase your cost. So instead of doing 8 hours, which is your basic conversion flying, you'll end up doing 15 hours.
So this is a very important information for the students.
Very, very important.
that's
You'll
very
be
Because
spending
once you
extra.
come back from any foreign flight school, you step in India, you're on a time bomb. Every day you waste, you're gonna end up spending more money.
For our next question, only rich students become pilots.
Again, not definitely true, because we are all, I think, from middle class families.
So even middle class families, children can become pilots, provided they happen to plan it out finances properly.
Yeah, that is something that every student needs to keep in his mind, because getting CPL is not the ultimate goal. You also need to plan for your type rating or the airline training, what it is. So finance is something that needs to be planned properly. With proper planning, you'll be able to do it.
Did you all go for a loan?
Yes, I do.
All of us.
Okay, can you throw a little light on it? Like what kind of a loan it was, and is the installments been started? How is it?
Again, for that, it depends from banks to bank, if I'm not wrong, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I took loan from Canada Bank. So once my course duration is done, they have given me a cooling period of 1 year. So post that 1 year, whether you get a job, you don't get a job, you'll be required to pay the year.
I think to sum up, basically, it's just nothing but education loan, like how people take it for every other career field, say medical, engineering, or anything. You take an education loan and you're given a period till you finish your course and get a job. You need not pay the EMIs, and once you get a job, just start paying.
Loans are easily available.
Yes, I mean, again, as it's very similar to an education loan you take for any career, it is available with most banks. They provide education loans for pilot training.
For the next question, was it hard for you as a girl to get into aviation, Rida?
Well, personally, no. That's considering that I have a very supportive family. They never really differentiated me being a girl, or you can't do this. I was always pushed to do things most girls don't do in my house. But generally, if I look at it, no, I think it is a little challenging for girls to step out, do something where they're going to be away from home most of the time. And a lot of parents are not okay with that, because, you're the girl, you can't really be outside. There are odd timings you'll be working. Being a stopping factor for females is sad in today's age, but it still happens. But I'm hoping it improves, and every family, supports their female child as much as they support their sons.
Yes. How safe is it for girls in aviation?
I wouldn't say there is any factor that could affect their safety as such. The only challenge is that there's a myth that runs in, to be honest, in Indian society, where like female can't do anything as such. So, but like you might have seen like an Air India captain who's a female pilot who did a transatlantic flight by flying across the North Pole. So there are achievements that the female pilots have done. It is almost same as, there are few challenges here and there, but I'm sure they are ready to handle that because of those. Yeah, it's a safe.
Yeah, it's a safe place, but like every other place, just to give a general answer, in any male-dominated field, there are some things, some places or some instances where women do feel unsafe. Not just aviation, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this rapid fire round. What's the major difference between New Zealand and USA training?
That's a very difficult question for us.
Okay, it's not fair. The 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
It's fine. I will still fight. What's different? Okay, definitely what I've heard from what Hemanth told me, he's only flown over flatland.
Yeah.
Well, I have flown over multiple terrains, very different terrains, from greenlands to hills to mountains that are like 13,000 feet high.
I think that I need to agree with that, because I've seen photos of Rida's flying.
So usually it is all kind of terrains that you fly
New
on?
Zealand is just very diverse
it's very
landscape
diverse in
because
terrain.
on one side of the island is first of all small. You can fly one from this side to that side in like 2 hours. One side is ocean, the other side is all mountains. So you have, and in between is grass. So something like that, you have everything. So when we're flying from one place to another, you go through all the landscapes, which and we also have a lot of mountain flying that we do there because there are mountains that are really high and we have to fly through them because there is no other option. So
Yeah, in that perspective, I'd say US, the views that you get from the aircraft are a little different, and especially we flew through Florida. So one of the best views we used to get was flying very low over the coastline. There were times when we have gone very low, less than 500 feet, even 100, 200 feet on the coastline. We could literally see people at the beach. So that is something you can do only, I would say, there, not anywhere
no, I did that too.
else.
It's all low flying. I did my flying at 300 feet, did maneuvers at 300 feet. We had a lot of things we did at 300 feet.
But I would say like maybe US course has been a bit more structured when compared to New Zealand.
How?
That is, I've seen.
How?
See, for you guys, the instrument rating is not part of your CP.
Because in New Zealand they believe conventional pilots are the best pilots.
But in the end, for an airline, you need
Yeah,
it.
no,
need
because
for
they're because for them they have to do 1,500 hours, and that they build hours. Once they go into multi, once you start your multi is where it's all IR. So
Okay.
that's how they do it there. Until you don't go to multi, there's no IR.
I think FA and New Zealand CA work well.
Having said that, majority of people prefer USA for flying. Is it because of the pricing and faster?
We used to also wanted to go to New Zealand, just saying. They just did not have it because COVID hit. Just to put it out there, they also wanted to go to New Zealand. They just didn't get their visa. So
Yeah, actually true. But I think answering your question, Samaya, a lot of people prefer US because US has a lot of number of flight schools, and the way they advertise, people are normally attracted towards US because it's a very huge country, hundreds of flight schools there. Comparing US with other countries, they are very limited, New Zealand, Australia, they are very small, limited flight schools. So people generally always tend to go with the crowd.
And cost of living is also expensive in New Zealand.
Definitely, I would say, I think,
It is.
cost of living is
but
pretty
also I feel
expensive
like there's a lot of
there.
awareness of general flying in
Yeah.
US as compared
also-
to every other country.
Definitely.
And also the
yeah.
common point is like US has like very minimal exams. 3 exams and
Yeah,
you can fly almost every day in a year and you can finish off your flying faster.
I think that's just one selling point you need to tell students. You need to study less, they'll immediately jump in there.
Rida, what's harder, flying or conversion?
Conversion. I did my entire 200 hours in 14 months, and I am doing my conversion in 14 months.
What is the reason behind it? Did you all also face the same thing?
My conversion was significantly longer because I didn't give my exams. Also, then as soon as I finished my exams, monsoon hit. So I was sitting at home for 3 months. Once that happened, then slots were hard to find. Once I got the slots, then the weather became bad again, or the aircraft went for maintenance. So just all of these things, one after the other, led to all this delay. So
Yeah, I think even we face the same issues, not able to clear exams or
Waiting to
So even you did not write your exams before going?
So I did not write my RTR exam before going because I had other plans, but then I ended up coming back to India and then attempting the RTR exams back then when it was under WPC, which took me 2 attempts to clear. And by the time I did that, as Rida explained earlier, my recency got expired, so I had to fly extra. And again, when I started flying, monsoon season hit, and I just sat at home waiting for it to pass. And that's the reason again, got it.
As you said about RTR, I would like to know more about it. Rida, have you did your conversion for RTR? How does actually the procedure for RTR go when it comes to conversion?
okay, so me being lucky, that's actually one of the main reasons I didn't go to the US because I had no interest in writing that exam. But since I did it from a Commonwealth country and DGCA did, acknowledge that and recognize that, so I could just apply for RTR directly. I did not have to give the exams that they gave. So I just converted it, just took my RTR from New Zealand, submitted it in India, got RTR for 20 years.
So to address that concern itself right now,
Yeah.
earlier the RTR exam was conducted by WPC. It was a central government body, but right now it's being partially conducted by DGC. So hopefully things will fall in place and this unnecessary delay will be reduced.
So, and when you fly from US and you get an FAA CPL, you don't get different separate RT license. So when you come back to India, you have to give the complete RTR exam here. That's one thing. One disadvantage, as Riza told,
So
US
there is
has
where it comes Commonwealth and non-Commonwealth countries.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And also to add to that point, I guess everyone in their conversion flying have gone through struggles. I've not seen like anyone in a smooth manner. Okay, I finished everything I submitted. No.
So conversion is still a
It is
long
still-
process in India.
Yes.
But I think if the student has had the correct guidance since day one, they could make it
Yeah.
much smoother.
Definitely.
That is
I
what
think they could
that is what
finish
we
in
all
2-3
experience.
months.
Yeah. That is the one we lagged. That is right guidance.
Planning matters more than money. What do you think, cadet or conventional?
I think both of them have their pros and cons. That's what I've understood at this point. If you go conventional way, you're saving a lot of money, but then always throughout the journey, you have a little bit of tension or a burden that you need to get a job, you need to clear the interview process. But on the cadet, that is not the case. You have a certain clarity or confirmation that the company is gonna recruit you as a first officer.
So on a surface level, if we see it is just the job guarantee that you get, but
Just
for that you're paying
Yeah.
a lot of money. As in, say, when you see on a conventional way, like a student can spend close to 80 lakhs. That includes his type rating and airline training. But the same if a cadet pilot needs to do, it's gonna close to more than a crore to 1.5.
But okay, had you had the money, let's say your parents had 2 crores just sitting there for you,
Then
would you choose cadet or would you still go for conventional?
if I had that much amount of money lying at home, I would say definitely I would go for cadet guy.
Probably yes, I would
Yes.
have gone because everyone is like, you have a job security, why not go there?
So you do not have a waiting period in that?
We definitely have a waiting period, but comparatively it may be a little lesser, but not as significant, I would say. The difference would not be as significant.
Okay, so they give you job guarantee, that is LOI, letter of intent.
Yes, they give you a
Yeah.
LOI that you will be signing.
But that LOI comes with a lot of terms and conditions saying you need to clear all the assessments throughout your training within a maximum of 2 attempts. You need to comply with their training standards and all. If you do that throughout the 2.5 year period, only then you have a job.
Okay, how's the current scenario for the jobs?
Right now, with the way Indian aviation is growing, the demand is like equally present for both. I wouldn't say cadet doesn't have, because the airline is taking chunks of money from the cadets, so their field is gonna be always there. But conventionally, the candidates are getting jobs even right.
Do you still recommend cadet, Hemanth?
No, I wouldn't. To be honest, right now in cadet, there's a lot of waiting in all the stages. If you see a conventional way, we come to a point where we are type rated and we are into the company, and then we might wait. But if a student is going through cadet, he needs to wait for his batch to start his training, then do his training, come back, do the conversion, again wait for some time till the company sends you for type rating. So that wait will keep on delayed. So it's gonna be not in a one stretch, but it's gonna take a long time.
Also, it's frustrating. Like once you're a student pilot, it's not in your control. Like even if you want to do it, you can't do it. Like let's say I'm done with my CPL and I'm sitting at home waiting for jobs. I can go get a type rating done, but they can't do that unless the company is
Exactly.
like, you know.
Once you are enrolled in a cadet, you are very restricted to that
Yeah.
particular airline, whatever they want you to do. But on the other hand, conventional way, you are open to do anything you want. You are open to choose other career paths, not just an airline pilot. You have a very
Yeah.
broad area.
Coming to that, career paths, what do you think, and which are the career paths apart from being an airline pilot?
Right now, flight instructor is something which is very good in India, because there are a lot of flying schools that are being coming out that needs instructors, and all the instructors who are working for the schools are right now joining airlines.
This opportunity is only in India or also in abroad?
To be honest, it is going to be easier for a student to get it in India when compared to abroad. To sell their program, the flying schools in abroad will give you a job at our school itself. But once you do the rating, because you need to pay to the school to get your rating done. Suppose that it's gonna be subjective. I wouldn't say not everyone won't get. Some are lucky. I have friends who have got their jobs on flying, but there are many, to be honest, on the other side who didn't. That
How about charters?
Charters is again a very good industry, and one thing that normal people don't know, that the charter business in India is pretty big, pretty booming. If you see, every other businessman in India, every other millionaire in India owns a charter plane. It's just that we as people, common people, don't know. But one downside about that is charter pilots don't normally recruit freshers who are just out of their training. But once you gain a little experience, that is a very good market.
And also, like, once you're in your 40s, maybe 40s, 50s, where you're like, can't deal with the airlines, ka hectic schedule. Because charters are very laid back, you only fly a certain amount of hours, or maybe like once or twice a week, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, so it's more chill, and when you're that, you're like, okay, I still want to fly, but I still want to have my me time and my family time. And I think charters is perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you feel general aviation is doing in India?
in India, it is not that great. It is not very well explored, as I told you, because of the restrictions of airspace. And to be honest, like DGC is very restrictive about all this. It is not giving us so much freedom to explore the options that we have.
Yeah, I
I
think
think I would just say India does not have general flight at all.
Yeah.
It's
So-
almost non-existent.
if you compare general flying, so basically general flying is anywhere where you are not associated with a company or a scheduled airline. You're just taking your own aircraft, or you're renting your aircraft and just flying, like how you go on a long drive. So that is essentially practically non-existent in India. But if you go to countries like US or New Zealand, also, in that matter of fact, there are facilities available where you can just go to a place, rent an aircraft or buy an aircraft if you have the money, and just fly for leisure. So I think India needs to get that, and I hope
High time I would.
It's
we
pretty
get
cool
it.
because, like, now if I go back to New Zealand, I just show them my license, and I'm not current. But if I
Yeah.
was current, I could just take the flight, go, do whatever I want, and then come back and just pay them the money that I had to fly,
Exactly, yeah.
which is illegal in India. It's just very restrictive when you fly here. The permissions you need to take. There, I could just go. No one's gonna ask me, but here I need to file like 10 different things before I can take off.
One last question, which is very important for parents, is ROI. If you can throw some light on it and give us, how to plan for the funds for a middle class family to rich family, upper class families, anyone in that. If you can give us a little conventional way how much it's going to cost and when is the return you're going to get, that would be great.
The entire aviation journey itself is going to be a highly expensive career. I wouldn't deny that fact, but your CPL is going to ideally cost somewhere close to 50 to 60 lakhs, depending on the country, if I'm not wrong, and conversion and everything put together. As I told you, it's going to be close to 80. Should be on a safer side this time.
That's the approximate
Yeah.
And
range.
then you will be required to, once you join the airline, the initial pay that you get during your training is going to be close to 50,000 to 1 lakh. That's going to be for like 4 to 6 months, depending on the airline. But once you join and fly as a junior first officer, you get close to 2 to 2.5 lakhs in any of the airline. So that's going to cover up your cost, whatever it can be. Within 2 to 3 years, you'll be able to get the investment.
In 2 to 3 years, you're saying that we'll be able to get the investment which we have done?
This 2 to 2.5 lakh is not a fixed salary that we'll be getting. As we gain experience, our salary will be increased. That's gonna get us an upper hand as well.
Yeah. So basically, just to summarize, the initial waiting period is a little more as compared to any other field. But once you get the job, parents need to understand that after you go through the waiting period, once you get the job, it's very quick. Because pilots are one of the highest paying jobs in India right now.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, Hemanth, and Rida, for this wonderful session and informative podcast.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.